So I'll tell you something. Somebody said to me, Alina, would you rather be smart or pretty? And I said, oh, easy, pretty. I can fake being smart.
That's just my favorite clip to play when I'm about to present a report on really bad news for Alina Habba. As I've been saying, I thought Alina Habba is going to be in very, very big trouble. And now we know that Alan Weisselberg, who just pled guilty to felony perjury in connection with the New York Attorney General civil fraud case, has now removed Alina Habba as his lawyer. He's replaced Habba with another lawyer that's been affiliated with the Trump Organization on some other cases, but this is very notable for a number of reasons that I will discuss. Similarly, in connection with Donald Trump's appeal in the E. Jean Carroll matter, Donald Trump, as I previously reported, quietly demoted Alina Habba as well and is seemingly replacing her with a competent appellate lawyer, which I covered in another video. But before explaining some of the implications of Alina Habba being replaced as Alan Weisselberg's lawyer, as always, on the MeidasTouch Network, let's go through the document first. Here's what the filing was in the civil fraud case. Here's what it says. It is hereby consented that Morian Law, PLLC, it gives the address, be submitted as attorneys of record for defendant Alan Weisselberg in place instead of Habba, Medeo, and Associates, and lists their address. It is further hereby stipulated and agreed that counterpart electronic signatures shall be binding. In other words, Alan Weisselberg, who was previously a convicted felon for tax fraud and now a convicted felon for perjury in connection with the New York Attorney General's civil fraud case, says, bye-bye, Alina Habba, I need my own counsel. And why would he make that move? Well, Occam's razor, number one, Alina Habba is a horrible lawyer and probably the worst person who could represent you. And usually when you become a civil defendant in a case, and then that leads you to become a criminal defendant, and then a criminal felon in the same case, usually not good lawyering right there. But also it goes to this broader issue, and here's what it is. Remember when Arthur Engoron sent emails to the parties in early February in connection with the New York Attorney General civil fraud case? And he said, look, I read something in the New York Times, I'm sure you're all aware, it's been brought to my attention, that defendant Alan Weisselberg may be involved in plea negotiations because he may have committed a crime in my very courtroom, Justice Arthur Engoron said. And look, I take the fact that a crime could happen in my courtroom, a felony no less, as a very, very serious matter that I'll have to address. So Justice Engoron sent a rather nice letter to the parties on February 5th, 2024, and said, hey, what about this New York Times article titled Trump's former finance chief in negotiations to plead guilty to perjury? You know anything about this? You want to tell me anything about this? Consistent with your ethical obligations. I want to know, because I'm going to be preparing an order, which Engoron did within the next 2 or 3 weeks, and that's important to me if somebody was lying in my courtroom and committed crimes. So, you know anything about that, Alina Habba? You're his lawyer. What about you, Cliff Robert? You kind of represent him. You represent Trump and a bunch of other people. It's not even really clear who represents who, but you all seem to represent these Trumps kind of generally. You want to tell me what you know? And then, of course, Alina Habba responded, and she said, Judge, no, I'm not going to tell you anything. Alina Habba says, I'm writing in response to your February 5th, 2024 letter. Although she says 2023. I think she forgets the year that she's in, but that's Habba for you. And it says, as you are aware, Alina Habba says, I represent Mr. Weisselberg in the civil litigation. We do not represent him in connection with any criminal matters. I have not spoken with the district attorney about any matters relating to this New York Times article about him negotiating any types of plea. And further, She says, in the abundance of caution, I conferred with my ethics counsel. Habba, you have an ethics counsel? And then Habba says, my ethics counsel told me that I can't respond to you, Engoron, at all, and that I gotta keep this hush hush. To which Justice Arthur Engoron said, there's a little something, Alina Habba, called Rule 3.3 sub A sub 3 under the New York Rules of Professional Responsibility, which actually require lawyers to inform the tribunal if the lawyer becomes aware that their client, quote, offered material evidence and the lawyer comes to know of its falsity. The lawyer must take reasonable remedial measures, including, if necessary, disclosure to the tribunal. This obligation applies, quote, even if compliance requires disclosure of information that otherwise may be confidential. And to know of the falsity, the lawyer must have actual knowledge, but such knowledge, quote, may be inferred from circumstances. I like to cook. It's a great way to unwind after a long day, but going food shopping and getting all of the ingredients can be super time consuming, so I found a better way with Marley Spoon. This podcast is sponsored by Marley Spoon. Marley Spoon knows bland food is boring, so they created the best tasting meal kit money can buy. With our code Meidas, you can get up to 25 free meals. With Marley Spoon, you can choose from over 100 delicious recipes every week, from Cajun spiced chicken to poached salmon to butternut squash gnocchi to a vegan burrito bowl. My favorite recent meal from Marley Spoon is that Cajun spiced chicken. It is delicious, and many of the recipes are completely customizable, whether you're looking for vegetarian meals, family-friendly dishes, or low-carb options. Marley Spoon has the food that you want to eat. Marley Spoon even has an in-house registered dietitian who actually assesses every recipe, so it takes the guesswork out of eating healthy. There's something really rewarding about cooking food yourself and it tasting amazing versus doing expensive, unhealthy takeout. Marley Spoon also saves you from making that extra grocery haul with their online market of pantry essentials. You can shop their selection of 125 plus items like seasonal produce, ready-to-heat options, meal shortcuts, extra proteins, and handy snacks, and easily add them to the My Next Marley Spoon box. With meal planning and food shopping taken care of, making delicious food at home has finally become effortless. Plus, with Marley Spoon, you aren't locked in long term. Marley Spoon's flexible subscription allows you to edit, pause, or cancel your boxes anytime. So, experience the most personalized meal kit with Marley Spoon. Head to marleyspoon.com/offer/Meidas and use our code Meidas for up to 25 free meals. That's right, up to 25 free meals with Marley Spoon. One last time, that's Marley Spoon, MarleySpoon.com/offer/Meidas, MEIDAS, for up to 25 free meals, and make sure you use our promo code Meidas so they know that I sent you. Justice Engoron's basically saying to a lawyer who's got half a brain, I'm putting you on notice that I'm on inquiry notice based on the publication of a story in early February about Alan Weisselberg committing perjury and committing a crime. You represent him. You watched his testimony. You suborned his testimony. Now the question is, did you suborn his perjury? Were you aware? Did you facilitate it? Was that something that you are responsible for? Did you walk him in to perjury here? And you have an obligation to be on notice to let me know what's up, not attack me for trying to find out if a crime has been committed in my courtroom, Justice Engoron would say. And that's the letter from Engoron here. He addresses to Cliff Robert, because Cliff Robert sends a particularly obnoxious letter to him as well and says, Judge, you're taking judicial notice of New York Times articles. That shows how improper you're behaving, and this is a witch hunt, and how dare you make this accusation that Alan Weisselberg is engaged in plea negotiations. You're biased. Justice Engoron says, I do no such thing. I'm not taking judicial notice. I'm not doing anything other than a very basic level, asking you, what do you know about this? Because I am a judge. I am the trier of fact, and I take my responsibility very, very seriously, number one. Number two, there's a rule under New York law of professional responsibility 3.3A3, which requires you to tell me if you're aware of perjury. So I get it. You don't want to know it. You don't want to tell me. Well, then we will deal with that at a later time. Justice Engoron, a few weeks later, issues his final order. Now with pre and post judgment interest, that's $464 million. That's Donald Trump has to post a bond there. But now we know, yes, Weisselberg did commit perjury. The key witness in the case is a perjurer. The key witness in the case pled guilty. And no matter how much Donald Trump's lawyers want to attack Weisselberg and say he was coerced and this and that, when Weisselberg enters a guilty plea, he specifically states under penalty of perjury that he's not being coerced, he's doing it on his free will, and that that's what's going on and that he's committed perjury. So I think Alina Habba has a big problem here. And I think Weisselberg is even like, look, Trump, because Weisselberg's an idiot too. I mean, I'm not giving Weisselberg credit. I mean, Weisselberg went to Rikers once. Weisselberg's going to go to Rikers twice for his blind loyalty to someone who's treated him like absolute crap. But so Weisselberg's a moron. But I think Weisselberg even knows, like, look, Trump, okay, you want to have this idiot Alina Habba be your lawyer? Give me someone. I need someone who, like, is slightly competent. So can you please, like, not have her be my lawyer? That's my opinion of probably what went down there. But what I'm waiting for now, and what I think you should be waiting for, is what happens next with Justice Arthur Engoron. Is he just going to be like, my verdict's done. This whole thing is a headache. I'm not dealing with this crap anymore. Like, whatever. I'm not dealing with this. Or is Justice Engoron going to say, hey, we need to deal with this and we need to address this? And is this the first step in this process that Alina Habba's out? So that's what's up. We'll keep you posted. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 3 million subscribers thanks to your support. And I think it'll be a slow drip for Alina Habba. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.